In life, we are often told to think big. However, sometimes when we're right at the start of a journey, thinking big can be more than a little intimidating. I have found that when I start small, the bigger goals are so much easier to reach. Whatever your financial goal is, maybe you want a new house, maybe you want to go on a really nice holiday, maybe you just want an emergency fund to give you a bit of peace of mind. These 15 tiny frugal habits can help you along the way. First up, be consistent even when you're starting small. It's not about being able to save $1,000 every single month. It would be amazing if you could, there's no doubt about that, but you don't have to start off big. It's far better to consistently save $50 a month for the next 5 years than it is to save $1,000 in the first month and then give up because it was too hard. You don't have to climb the mountain on day one, it can be tiny steps. And that's especially the case if you're on a tight budget. If committing to save more money every single month feels really daunting to you, then what you could try and do is increase it incrementally every single year. So say, for example, the first year you start by saving 5% of your income. In year 2, you commit to saving 6%, year 3, 7%, and so on. And hopefully by this point you've moved into a job that pays better, so it's easier to allocate more money to your savings. Whatever you commit to, make it affordable. If it's not affordable, you're just gonna quit after a couple of months, and make it a habit. Exactly the same goes for paying off debt. Formulate a plan, take your head out of the sand. I know it's really, really scary. Formulate that plan, decide what is affordable for you, and then stick to the path that you've set out in front of you. Once you're halfway there, you'll look back and see how much you've achieved, and that will give you the inspiration to keep going the rest of the way. The next tip is absolutely essential, and that is to automate your savings. Transfer money into your savings as soon as your paycheck arrives. Don't allow your savings to be the afterthought at the end of the month. It shouldn't be what you've got left at the end of the month. It should be part of your planning for that month. And this way, when it comes to spending on fun things, you'll be spending more intentionally. You'll make a plan for exactly how much you can allocate to your fun money budget, and you're not going to risk eating into your savings. I know from experience that whenever I have not saved until the end of the month, I've just ended up spending more money than I would have done otherwise. I've thought to myself when I'm out and about, oh hey, I can buy that because I've got that extra £100 in my bank account. Or if I'm online shopping, I've thought to myself, well, I know that I've got that £50 in my bank account, so I'll just buy it. Savings becomes an afterthought if you don't do it first at the start of the month. Look, you may not be someone who loves to allocate every single penny to a particular pot. Maybe you like a little bit more flexibility than that, but it is so useful to take some control of your budget. Tell yourself, I'm going to save $100 this month, end of discussion, full stop, it's going away. That means that I have got around about $300 left to spend on fun stuff this month, whatever it might be. But just have an idea in your head of how you're allocating that money. So it's this commitment to saving that's gonna reap you rewards. Another great tiny habit to try to save more money is to switch to cash or digital envelopes. Now, a lot of people favor cash envelopes these days because it makes spending more intentional. When you're physically having to hand over the cash, you're much more aware of how much you're spending than when you just tap a bank card. Now, I think this very much depends on the individual. I personally am not a cash envelope person, but I know that a lot of people, this really helps them to do it. I think in certain cases, I've said on here before that I find cash envelope budgeting can be performative. You buy these beautiful cash envelopes, and there are some lovely ones out there in lovely books and folders and purses. They look so nice. But you go through this process at the start of the month of stuffing your cash envelopes, and then you still overspend at the end of the month because you're still using your bank card as you normally would to just buy frivolous stuff that you hadn't planned to buy that month, but you were just like, hey, I might as well. So it only works when you commit to it as a method. Don't assume just the act of cash stuffing is saving you money. Like, it has to be a commitment. If you're like me and you don't really like cash budgeting, then you can try digital envelopes instead. There are a few paid for and free apps that will allow you to do this, but you can also check out your own banking app. I know that mine allows me to allocate budgets by category, which is a kind of digital cash envelope system. So say I can say, right, I only want to spend £500 this month on groceries, and I'm only going to allocate £100 this month to clothes. And this can just help to hold me accountable, and I can check in on the app regularly just to see how I'm doing. Moving on now, always ask these key questions before you make any purchase. Do I need this? Do I need this right now? Can I get it cheaper elsewhere? Can I get a discount? A lot of things can be ruled out from the first question, but I'll just give you an example of one that passes the test of the first question. That is groceries. You need food to live, okay? So then we move on to question number 2. Do I need it right now? And this is where you shop your kitchen before you head to the supermarket and buy anything new. Check the cupboards for tins, check the freezer for any leftovers, check the fridge to see if there's something about to go out of date that you need to eat up. And this can help with your meal planning for the week. Or it can mean that you avoid a trip to the supermarket altogether. Even better, more time to yourself at home. Although if you have kids and you're anything like me, maybe a trip to the supermarket is a little bit like a mini holiday. When it comes to the third question, now you can ask yourself if you're shopping at the best value supermarket for you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that going to Aldi or Lidl is going to be the best value supermarket for you. If it's way out of your way and you're having to travel further, you're having to pay more for petrol, maybe it's not best for you. If it's taking huge amounts of time out of your day to go there, so it's taking you away from work, from earning more money, or from valuable time at home, maybe it's not the best place for you. And it also depends exactly what the needs of your family are. What products do they need? Are there particular brands that you guys get? So it's worth taking some time to think about what will be the best value supermarket for you. And that's not necessarily going to be the cheapest one. So that then moves you on to the final question, can I get a discount? And this is where you 100% need to be signed up to supermarket loyalty schemes, being sure to take advantage of cashback wherever you can, any coupons that you have, all of this kind of stuff, keeping track of the opportunities to save money at the supermarket, it all adds up. And I really like to stack my rewards. So for example, I will make sure that I am swiping my loyalty card. I might then use some of my points in order to pay for my shopping, and then I'll pay for my shopping via a cashback site such as Jam Donut, Cheddar, or Top Cashback. This next tip can be a bit of a game changer. Add whatever it is that you're tempted to buy to your shopping cart and then leave it 48 hours. When we online shop, we're often guided by our emotions. Online shopping gives us a rush of endorphins. It gives us a bit of a reward. It's a rush to be shopping for that new thing, to know that there's a new thing on the way. But actually, I did a little experiment on this and I found that just the act of browsing and clicking buy and adding it to my shopping cart was enough of a rush in order for me to get that reward, but then not actually go through with the purchase. So I set myself a new rule that I would wait 48 hours after having added to basket. And if after that time I'd gone through these questions with myself of, do I actually need this? Do I actually need to buy this right now? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is absolutely no, I do not need this right now. I do not need another pair of shoes. I do not need another hoodie. I do not need another dress. That 48 hours is enough time to make you pause, but you've had that reward of like browsing online, the act of adding the thing to the shopping basket. It's really weird, but that in itself sometimes can be enough of an emotional reward to yourself that you've enjoyed the act of online shopping. Even though you haven't got something on the way, you've gone through the process, and that can just be enough to make you step back from the edge and not part with your money. And the second thing to note about this is that actually sometimes it can trigger a discount from the brand. Online stores are tracking your every single movement online, and sometimes if they see that you've put something in your basket but you haven't checked out, they'll email you a discount code. So sometimes it can save you a bit of money if it is something that you do go on to purchase. Celebrate small wins. Sometimes we get so focused on the big stuff, like buying a new house, that we forget to pat ourselves on the back for the little things that we did well. So celebrate paying off a credit card debt. Celebrate finding a voucher in order to pay for something to really reduce the price. Tell yourself that you did really well when you didn't succumb to impulse purchasing. The next tiny habit to try is to disengage from and edit your social media feed. Checking apps on your phone is definitely a reflex. Like, you do it all the time and you see other people doing it all the time. You're in the park with the kids waiting, you check your phone. You're at the school gates waiting for them to come out, you check your phone. You sit down on the sofa for 5 minutes after having done a bit of housework, you check your phone. And when you're doing that, you're probably looking at the same apps. You might be checking your email, you might be checking the news, and you're probably logging into at least one social media app. We're all a little bit addicted to our smartphone, but the trouble with it is that this device is selling to you all the time. It's selling you clothes, it's selling you tech, it's selling you jewelry, it's selling you recipe boxes, it's selling you lifestyle choices. Influencers, brands, and even our friends use these apps to showcase their lives in the best possible light. Like, it's a highlight reel of their lives. It's all the best bits, and it's also used to sell us stuff. And it's often stuff that we don't really need. And the result, more often than not, is that we're encouraged to spend more money. It's so hard to resist spending, to resist engaging in that act of consumption when we're seeing people doing it on our phone constantly all throughout the day. You can try to fight this urge by disengaging from social media. Give yourself a digital detox where you spend a few hours a day away from your phone. Go for a walk, walk the dog, clean the house, read a book, just something else. And another way to help prevent social media from influencing your spending habits is to unfollow the accounts that really tempt you. And also that's the same with brands as well. You could mute certain accounts if you don't want to unfollow, but you just don't want to see their content for a while. And then in Facebook, you can actually go into your settings and edit your ad preferences so you don't see certain ads from certain brands. And don't forget to edit your email account as well. Unsubscribe, make sure things go into junk so that you don't see them and you're not tempted. My next tip is to never open sale emails. It's never going to end well for your bank balance. A sale exists to get you to spend money. It doesn't exist to help you, no matter what they might claim. And they often deliberately do certain things to try and put pressure on you to spend. For example, they'll put a countdown timer on saying, hey, you know, like, you've only got 2 days left, you've only got 1 day left, there's only 2 hours left. They put that pressure on you in order to trigger that fear of missing out response. The FOMO is very real. Another tiny frugal habit is to shop your wardrobe. Every now and then, I like to do an inventory of my wardrobe and of my children's wardrobe just to take stock of what we actually have. It's often surprising. You'll uncover things that have got stuck between two other things at the back of the wardrobe, or you'll find something at the bottom of a drawer that you'd forgotten that you had. This is a really good chance to declutter and maybe make some money from selling clothes that you don't need or that your children have grown out of. And it's also a good chance to remind yourself of what you have so you're not tempted to go out and buy brand new things that you don't really need. Another tiny frugal habit is to never forget a carrier bag. Never ever forget a shopping bag when you're going to the supermarket. I get so annoyed with myself when I end up having to spend the pennies on a shopping bag when I've got dozens of them back at home. One thing that can really help you to not forget your carrier bags when you're going grocery shopping or anywhere else shopping that is going to charge you for a carrier bag is to buy one of these really tiny ones that fold up very small and can fit in your car easily. You can put them in the glove box, or they can fit in your handbag so that you never ever forget a carrier bag again. Another great tiny frugal habit is to use less product. I don't know about you guys, but I've been so guilty in the past of just being really liberal when I am using washing up liquid or when I'm using laundry detergent. I just kind of free pour and I'm not really thinking about how much I'm using, I'm just going for it. Similar story with shampoo, similar story with conditioner, similar story even with like water from the tap, where you leave the water running when you're brushing your teeth or you have that extra 5 minutes in the shower, whatever it might be. It's costing you money at the end of the day. It might only be pennies, but the pennies add up over the course of the years. So try to use only the amount of product that you need. You don't need tons of washing up liquid in order to wash the dishes. You only should be using the amount of laundry detergent that the packet says. So try to measure it out and just see how that reduces the amount that you use, and therefore means that you don't have to rush out to replace items that you've like gone through really quickly. With things like toothpaste, you can actually cut into the tube just to like scrape out the final dregs of the toothpaste so that you're using every last bit before you have to go out and buy something new. Next up, enjoy some more meat-free meals. We try to have meat-free meals twice a week because buying meat and buying fish as well, in fact, is just so expensive. And this benefits us in two ways. We find that we spend less money on food for those days, but also it's much healthier. If you really struggle with meal inspiration, then check out TikTok and Instagram and create a saved folder in your account for all of the meals that you love. Or you could just screenshot and then print it off. Have a folder on your phone where you save screenshots down. You can make your own little personalized cookbook there. There's a ton of inspiration out there. It's completely free. Another useful money saving habit is to plan your errands. When you have stuff to do, try to join up all of your errands so that you only go out once and you're not going out multiple times a week to similar places. This is going to save you money on fuel, and it's also going to save you valuable time. Time that could be spent on a side hustle, making a bit of extra money, or time that could be spent growing a business that you're trying to make a success. And my final tip, which is probably my favorite one of all of them, is to make use of your local library. Your local library is a veritable fiesta of free fun and entertainment for your family. It gets us out the house, it gets us some new reading material, but we're not going to clutter up the house with loads of new stuff because all of these books are going to be going back. Plus, being a member of your library means that you can save money on ebooks and audiobooks, magazines and newspapers too by downloading an app like Libby. Tons of free entertainment available there right at your fingertips. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and hit subscribe for lots more money saving and budgeting tips from me.